A lot of designers design with mohair, and there is a reason. And it's not to piss you off. Let's talk about mohair. To mohair or not to mohair? That is the question right now online. I've seen so many videos of people saying that there are too many designs with mohair, and I'm seeing other people saying how much they love mohair and they can't get enough. So let's talk a little bit about the why you would, why you wouldn't, and I'm gonna show my colors clearly here. I'm wearing a mohair sweater. I want to talk about why I don't really love the against mohair trend. Stay tuned though. If you don't like mohair, I'm not against you. And that's the thing where I think there's a clash. So I'm gonna get to that right away. I don't want to make you wait until the end of the video to figure out what's my big controversial opinion. It is not controversial whatsoever. What I feel is that in general, when people are against mohair or they're really not liking the mohair trend, they get very frustrated as if the people designing or knitting with mohair are against them. And so it's kind of a visceral reaction where they're like, all these designers are against me in their designs because they're using mohair, and I, one, either don't like the feeling of mohair, maybe two, I don't have the budget to add mohair to my knits, or three, I just don't like the look. Let me just be clear right away. Designers are never trying to do something against particular people, right? Designers, hopefully, design items that fits within their own aesthetic, need, what makes them excited, what brings them joy. They design basically for them, hoping that the people that follow them will like what they do, right? So generally, when you follow someone, you like something about them. It could be their values. It could be, if we're talking about art or crafts, it can be their knowledge. It can also be their aesthetic, what they like, what they dislike. And so every designer has their own sets of things that they like or dislike, and they will design within that. If you're following Petite Knit because you like her general vibe, but then you complain that her designs have mohair in it, in my opinion, you're just not following the right person. If you're, same thing, if you're following Andrea Mowry, but you're not someone that likes color changing yarn a la Spin Cycle, then maybe you're just not following the right person. I'm gonna back it up a little bit because I'm not like, this is maybe a whole other discussion, but the mohair thing is quite generalized. Yes, a lot of people are knitting with mohair, and the thing is, people call it a trend, but it's been going on for years and years and years and years and years. I remember many years ago, people making fun of Melissa and Lisa from Espace Tricot for putting mohair into all of their designs and sweaters and things. And maybe people at that time did not catch the mohair bug yet, but a lot of the world now has. And there is a very good reason for that. So mohair is not just a visual appeal or a textural appeal. It also has even a structural appeal. So for me, mohair has multiple positives. One, it's super soft. So obviously that is very much a contradiction for people that are allergic to mohair or people that find mohair scratchy. So you're either in the camp where you absolutely love the fuzziness and the softness, you feel like mohair is soft, or you're in the camp that finds mohair horrible next to your skin and you think it's the itchiest thing ever. Fine. That is something that can be measured. Like it's clear as day. I understand why you don't want to knit with mohair if you have a mohair sensitivity. If you still like the fluff but don't like the mohair, then there's this beautiful baby Surrey alpaca that now is super popular as well, that has the fluff. It's less shiny as, oh, well, let me show you an example. This is This is a beautiful swatch. So the swatch here has, this is merino. It's just a non-treated merino. Then this is merino with this mohair that I'm wearing right now. I didn't really plan it that way, but I love that color. And this is the merino with a pale mohair, like a very soft pink mohair. And here upstairs at the top of my swatch is the merino with a baby soooo alpaca. So if I go to the light, which is kind of crazy, it's too light. But if I go forward here, you can tell that the mohair, hopefully you can tell that it has a sheen. It's still a little bit shiny, whereas the soooo alpaca is quite matte. It's much more matte because it's alpaca and that's how the fiber behaves. So this is matte and it's fluffier even than mohair. Mohair is more like, this is technically, I mean, I use the same needles and I did the same thing, but you can tell that this takes up more space. It's more poofy than this. So texture, right? That's one thing. I personally love the texture of mohair. I wear it against my skin all the time. It is amazing for that if you like this. It is warm, so warm. Mohair is one of the warmest fiber in my opinion, because when you knit it with something else, it fills in all the little nooks and crannies. So I have two hats here, same hat. One is bigger than the other, obviously. But this is a hat I've knit twice. This one is a fingering weight yarn held double, as per the pattern. And this is a fingering weight yarn held double plus mohair. And I can feel the wind, even though it's pretty tightly knit. I can feel the wind going through those stitches because that's just how it is. It's a very sleek yarn. It is not an untreated wool, so that an untreated wool would also be warmer, but still, and it's a double thickness here. And this one has 2 strands of fingering weight yarn plus mohair. It definitely feels thicker, and I cannot feel the wind as much through this because all the stitches are poofier. They take more space and they trap more air and they create more of a barrier, which is also why this is my coat. This is my spring coat. I live in Quebec. It's not my winter coat, but this is my spring coat. It is a unspun wool, and all of this up here is only the unspun wool. And because it is a stranded color work, obviously it has a little double effect right here. So this part is quite thick because of all the strands that are running behind. But the rest of the body does not have those strands running behind. So I held my yarn with this mohair. Again, mohair runs, so that's another point after. But I held it with a mohair in the body to keep the thickness and the windproofness of this garment. And I love it. It also created a nice marling, speckling effect that was not there in the original color. So softness, warmth. Even this is very loosely knit and it is still quite warm for what it is. It is see-through, but I feel the warmth. The other thing is it changes anything you knit it with, right? So I am knitting this sweater that originally I was gonna knit like this. It is a hand-spun wool, so it's a very boring, neutral, let's call it neutral. I call it boring, but you know. It is a neutral handspun that I'm holding together with a very colorful, it's called Make It Tweed by Rico Designs. So Make It Tweed is this very cute, you know, tweedy yarn. But then I like this, but I added a mohair. And it just came together. So I added the mohair, so it went from this to this. My mohair is light blue, like this, like so. And together it just makes the base color a tiny bit more pale. It's fluffier, and it just blends it. It blends the little nubs, the little tweedy bits a lot more, which I like. I like that mohair is a chameleon. It can take a skein of yarn that might not be exactly what you want, and it can bring it to being exactly what you want. So, again, these are swatches that I use when I teach about yarn and how to choose the right yarn for your projects. But these were all knitted with the same mohair and suri alpaca, but with a different base color. So you can really tell how much it changes your fabric to use mohair. So that's another thing that is amazing. Obviously, you can hold colors together all the time without it being mohair. It can be anything else. But the special thing about mohair is instead of getting a very crisp marl effect, which you can get when you're holding two yarns together, like, where is it? I had an example to show you. Oh, here. When you're using two colors together, sometimes, this is crochet, but it will do the trick. Sometimes your marl, this is a marl of, I have two colors that are very different held together. So you can tell which color is which. You can see the very crisp, like neutral against the very crisp pink fuchsia. Whereas here, I feel like it blends everything a whole lot more. It creates something that's a little bit more cohesive. And then the last thing is structure. Mohair has a lot of strength. It is not a wool that stretches a lot. So a silk mohair, obviously the core is the silk base, and then the mohair is spun around that silk core, and it is very fluffy because of the way it is spun. But mohair as a fiber can also be spun regularly like a normal wool inside a blend, and then it won't have all that fluff. It will have a little bit of it, but it will add luster and shine and structure to a wool. So mohair is not very stretchy. If you knit something in the round without any seams, you don't have a lot of structure. If you have a yarn that doesn't have a lot of structure, like an alpaca, a superwash merino, something that has a lot of drape, holding a mohair with it will add structure. It will add a little bit of oomph to keep the sweater looking like it was before you blocked it. I'm not saying it's the miracle solution, but it does help a lot. And the last thing about mohair that I feel is important to note is editing Claudia here to say that I remembered what I forgot there. It is that mohair prevents pilling. It doesn't pill, so if you knit it with something that pills, it will reduce the pilling tremendously. I've never had to shave or glean any of my mohair sweaters. Okay. And yes, it can be pricey, but it also is quite long as a fiber because it is a lace weight fiber usually. So when I have a ball of mohair like this one, this is a $15 ball of mohair. This is Gaypard. This is 18 knitting for Olive. I know that Drops Design has a mohair that's cheaper. Obviously, if you go for hand-dyed mohairs, they're going to be more expensive, but they're hand-dyed. This one is not even more expensive because this is 25 grams for 210 meters, which is $15. 210 meters is a good amount. And then this is $36, hand-dyed, but it is 50 grams. So it's 420 grams. 420 grams of yarn for $36 is expensive, yes, but it's a lot. Okay, so you'll get this one was a 50 gram, less than a 50 gram ball for a sweater that is cropped, but that is a bit oversized. And obviously, I'm a small size. But it gets the point across where you don't need 15 balls of mohair to do a project. It brings me to quality over quantity sometimes. Yes, knitting with mohair will always be more expensive than knitting without mohair because you double the yarn. But if you have a yarn at home that you don't really love, that you're not gonna knit because you're not sure what you want to make with it, maybe the color's not right, maybe the feeling is not amazing, but you like mohair, and then you buy the mohair and you make the thing and you wear the thing, then that makes it all worth it. I would 100% buy a super cheap wool that might be even a little scratchy, or yeah, I don't like the color, or it's in the D-stash somewhere and it's not exactly the shade that I want, like it's a boring neutral that I don't really wear, but then I buy this and put it together with it, and then all of a sudden I have a super fun sweater. And the reality is I bought some super cheap neutral wool and I spent on this. That's the part that is gonna show up and make it fun. Now, if all of this is a moot point to you because you don't like it, and I'm not going to make you like it, that's not my point. I'm not going to try and make you like it, then fine. It's 100% great that you don't want to work with mohair. What you have to understand is that designers' yarn choices are only suggestions. They are only suggestions. That's what they like. It is your job as a knitter to take that recommendation and use something else to create what you want. So if most of the sweaters that are fingering weight holding a mohair with it are generally at, I don't know, a 21 stitch per inch gauge, go get yourself a DK weight yarn. You'll get a very similar result in the fabric gauge. Obviously, you're not going to get the same drape. You're not going to get exactly the same look, but you'll get the gauge for the sweater and you won't have mohair. You can also go get a sport weight yarn. If you have a plump sock weight yarn, not sock weight yarn, sport weight yarn, you can absolutely knit something that was made for fingering weight plus mohair. It's just going to be a little bit more see-through, a little bit lighter. But if you know that you're not using the yarn, you're using something else, then you buy that, you swatch, you decide whether you like it or not, and then you use that. Nobody's forcing you to use the mohair. If you like the general look of the garment, use it, take it, knit it with whatever you want. Which brings me to, there's no point in hating. Those designs are beautiful. They're wonderful. And I want you all to knit them. It's not because it's calling for mohair that you have to disregard it. That's my hot take. That's it. I've said what I had to say. But in all seriousness, a lot of designers design with mohair, and there is a reason. And it's not to piss you off. With all that being said, I want to know what your thoughts are. Have you knit with mohair? Have you not? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Or do you agree with me with my perception of the general vibe in the little like war happening between the mohair lovers and the mohair haters? I think that both of us, mohair lovers and haters, can unite in love and happiness and knit with whatever feels right to us. Obviously, you can tell how much I like it, and I'm gonna keep knitting with it, and I will never make you feel bad for not using it. Have a great day. Hopefully you like this video and you would like to watch another one of my maybe hot takes or deep dive into a subject.